Okay, in this presentation, I'm just going to explain what we're going to do for the course here as I've got it laid out on the web page. This is Web Authoring 1. And the way I've got it laid out, it's pretty simple, I think, is that each class is divided with dividers, and you can see the class number. So 1A would be the first class, 2A the second class, and so on and so forth. And a few classes may have more than one lesson, such as 6 has 6A and 6B in there. So each class is divided again by a little divider here, as well as the number indicating which class it is. And if I scroll down the page here, you can just see that I do have them going all the way to the final assignment. Now let me explain a little bit more on what we will do for turning in our projects. In big bold red letters, I'm asking you to hand in all assignments by compressing the root folder of each assignment by using a zip file, and then upload that zip file to Blackboard. So you'll have to get familiar with Blackboard and find the course on it and then the actual lesson, and there will be a place for uploading work, and you will just simply zip your root folder, which contains all of your assets, all of your files for that particular assignment, and upload it to Blackboard. Now looking at each assignment here, I'll go through them quickly. The first one is just an intro really, and it's a reading exercise, to be honest with you, which is sort of unusual for me, but I think a good place to start right now, since we're not in class together, is just to get you familiar with some of the basics of HTML. And the best place to go is the W3C schools. It's a standard international agreed upon, best practices for web developers. W3C schools, and I have a link for it right here. I'm going to get you to read from the section called HTML home right down to the section called HTML block and inline, and you can actually try things out as well as you're looking at demos and examples. And then you're going to come back, go on to Blackboard, and I'll have a link to a quiz worth 5%, sort of based on what you would have learned inside of that reading exercise. Again, this is just to give you a little start on some of the terminology, some of the basic principles. They will be demonstrated throughout the course, but I think, let's just start from the start here and go to the best source and do a little bit of homework and reading, if you will. Then we get right into practical exercises from there on. In our second week, we'll be doing some basic HTML, and we'll be using a basic text editor for the first 6 classes or so. So we'll be hand coding everything, typing it all by hand so you can get familiar with the syntax, get familiar with the structure of HTML, and we will also be getting into some CSS as well. There's really the HTML file and the CSS files that we're going to create and put them together to create, beautiful web pages, if you will. So I do have the odd links in here which are informative, and I do insist that you read them. They are extremely helpful. They will give you some background to kind of reinforce the exercise, if you will. You'll see in the green I have video links or spec sheet links. These are actual full-on videos on YouTube that you can watch over and over, start and stop, speed up, slow down, and have a full demonstration of that class's exercise, that class's lesson. And then in white I have any assets that you may need to download, and I would say you right click on the download, and on this particular browser it's called Save Link As, but you need to right click to save the file. It may or may not be zipped, and you'll uncompress it if it is, and those are the files that accompany the exercise that I'm teaching in that particular lesson. Alright, so the green links are the video links particularly, or they could be spec sheets. So let me click on this spec sheet link. I'm looking at exercise number 4 here, and typically it'll have, in this case, the root directory that I'm looking for, some basic instructions, an image of the finished product, and in this case I actually have the full code available as a link for you to have as a reference, and I also have the CSS code for this particular page, and sometimes they have rollovers with helpers to again get you to understand the structure and how to build HTML websites. So if I click the back button here, back here, and we're back on our home page, if you will. This link here is a link to all of the CSS properties, and when we get to CSS, it'll make more sense to you, but it's a comprehensive list of every property you could apply in HTML and CSS. This link here is for creating web colors. It's a beautiful web page done by Adobe, and it's extremely useful for generating web colors. And then back to our lessons again, and usually there's a description for the lesson, and then a link for the video. And if I have specific instructions as well, they will be included as well. And once again, you're in download assets, and you will right click. Now you're going to notice at the end too, there's a percentage. That is the percent attributed to fully completing that exercise. So if you see things with no percentage, there are no marks for those particular things, and it's very rare here, but here I have one, for example, there's no marks. But you do need to learn it in order to do the lesson, so it's a prerequisite to preview every link that I have here. So that's the structure there. It's divided by classes with full-on video instruction tutorials, potentially checklists, other instructions, and all of your elements you'll need to download. Maybe I'll click on one tutorial link here. Maybe I'll just click on this coding assignment, the first one. And you would come up to a YouTube page, and then you can see here I do have the lesson, and if I click on the play button. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to start a basic HTML page. Okay, I'm just going to stop it there. Now I'll just remind you, when you're in YouTube, of course you can start and stop, but you can also go to these three dots and you can actually open a transcript, which is reading what's being said. And I'll say it's about 90% accurate. It's a robot analyzing what's being said, but that can be useful as well. And the other thing is, if you're not aware, in YouTube, you can actually go to playback speed, slow it down. Not that I don't think you need to go slower, but for those that are maybe familiar with some of this work already, you might want to speed it up to 1.5 times. And it doesn't sound like Mickey Mouse, but it's definitely faster.
Start with the directory structure. I do have a few files open right now.
So there you go. That's a little fast maybe. But anyhow, just some options for you. You can change speeds. You can have the transcription appear while you're playing. Of course, you can watch it full screen. I'm not going to click on that. But it's the full lesson, front to back. So you can start and stop it as you wish. Freeze frame when you see code maybe that you want to reuse or apply. And that's really how I've got it laid out. So I've got full video demonstrations, backup with text instructions, and the elements that you need to download. Now with respect to the midterm, I will post it on Blackboard, and I'll keep you posted as to when that'll be available. Right now this is simply a link to Blackboard, but likely it will be a link under the midterm test section in our course on Blackboard. Final assignment is down here. The criteria is already posted, so if you want to zoom ahead on this course, absolutely go for it. You know, it might help you manage your time better at the end of the course with some of your other courses, if you will. So if you have any questions, please email me. I will respond fairly quickly to it, and I will help you at every step of the game here. On the right again, here's my email contact. This is just a link to my loyalists so that you can access Blackboard. I didn't mention this, but it's actually excellent. You should join it. It's a Facebook group by our loyalist animation students. A lot of alumni participate, and there is a lot of support for our first year students in that group. So I do invite you to go and check it out and sign up to it. Just introduce yourself. Trust me, you will find a lot of friends in there that'll be very helpful for you. And a little bit of bragging rights for me. I have won Educator of the Year for the Canadian New Media Awards in the past, and that's probably partially due to my being ahead of the game on online delivery for educational stuff. I do have a musical alter ego. If you want to go down that rabbit hole, I do play music on the side, something a little eccentric. Anyway, I leave that up to you. And I do hope that you enjoy the course. I believe it's very comprehensive what we're getting here. I do take pride in producing a good product, if you will. But please contact me if you have any questions at all, and I will be here to help you. And that is, I guess, our little intro to the course.